I want to teach you an extraordinary technique of concentration, of how you can use your mind in a very deep, profound way. And the goal is not just to teach you concentration, it's to teach you motivation, because we are motivated by where our heart is, but our heart is where our mind is. And when we are able to consistently place our mind on a single idea for an extended period of time without even a single other thought crossing our mind, then what happens is our heart automatically gets onboarded with that. And that's what creates motivation. So it's a technique about concentration. It's B, a technique of motivation, where you're thinking about extendedly. If you're thinking about how much I love my spouse, how much I care for my spouse, if you're thinking about all the wonderful things I'm going to do at work today, all the wonderful things I'm going to do in the world today, then you're suddenly more potent, more powerful, more engaged. Your heart goes after your mind. So this is a technique in concentration, it's a technique in motivation, and it's also a technique in emotional control. Because if your mind can stay in the same place, your heart will go in that direction. And that's when we're motivated into action. Now, it's actually a technique as well in personal transformation, because it actually shifts trauma and shifts negative emotions. But I can't show you all the applications today. So here we're going to dive in. I'm going to dive in with a question, and I'm hoping you all have the ability to write in the box. Give me a yes or no right now if you can write in the box. If you can't write in the box, I want to see a big no, capital letters. That's your IQ test of the day. So here come the yeses. Okay, here's my question for you all, my friends. I want you to think about this deeply before answering, and I want you to be as real and brutally honest with yourself as you possibly can be. Question number one: how long can you concentrate on one thing for, totally uninterrupted, so not a single other thought crosses your mind? Yes, I'll say that again. How long can you focus on one thing for, totally uninterrupted, so that not a single other thought crosses their mind? So I'm getting several seconds, 2 seconds, 2 minutes. There's an optimist in the room. 15 seconds, a few seconds. Now, I want you to think no clue. So are you willing to find that out? Because we have to kind of set a baseline, if you will, in our little test today. If I'm going to show you how to radically increase your concentration, we need to know what your concentration is when we begin this session. So we're going to conduct a little experiment. To conduct a little experiment, I need your concentration. So I need you to have your cell phone off, unless you're watching this on your cell phone. I need you to make sure the phone is hung up. You're not opening up any other browser windows anywhere else, and you're totally with me right now. So we're going to do a little test. How long can you focus on one thing totally uninterrupted without a single other thought crossing your mind? Here, I'm going to give you something very simple to focus on. This glass. You see this? So here's our little test. Here's a nice little glass. It's got that IKEA square style. Wonderful. I'm going to ask you to sit up straight right now. I'm going to ask you to uncross your arms and your legs right now. And I'm going to ask you to do this little exercise with me. I'm going to count down from 5 to 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's what it sounds like, so you know when you hear it. And when I get to 1, what I want you to do is think about the glass, only the glass, and nothing at all but the glass. And I'm going to start timing. And the second you think any other thought at all, you start thinking about a glass, I don't know, a table, a chair, yourself, how hot you are, how cold you are. If you start even thinking, wow, I'm doing pretty well, I'm still focusing on the glass, even that's a distraction. And at that moment, I just want you to do the following thing. I want everyone to write in the box right now the word distracted, but don't press enter. Just write the word distracted. Do that with me right now. Do that with me right now. Okay. So don't press enter, just hit the word, just write the word distraction. Great. So here's the exercise. I'm going to count back down from 5 to 1. When I get to 1, you start focusing on the glass, only the glass, nothing but the glass. The second any other thought crosses your mind, you press the enter button. I'm going to time when the word distracted comes in. Wait, I haven't started yet. People are distracted. How's that for an ADHD generation? Guys have low self-esteem. If you're finished before you even began, I'm going to have to help you work on that tonight. So here we go, my friends. You're going to have the word distracted there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're going to focus on the glass, only the glass, nothing but the glass. The second any other thought crosses your mind, including, well, I'm terrible at concentration. Like, I'm never going to focus on the glass. Let's also not focus on the glass. That's focus on bad self-esteem. And then you have to hit the distracted button. You ready? And I'm going to count how long we can do this together. We're going to get a baseline together to see if we can improve that in the next 45 minutes. So don't start yet. Are you ready? Sit up in your chair, uncross your arms and legs. Take a few deep breaths, a Zen pose, any lotus position that makes you feel spiritually holy or aligned. Let's see if it'll help. I'm not so sure. Here we go. Here comes our test. The glass, only the glass, nothing but the glass. Beginning 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, glass. Wow, that's almost everybody. To be honest, there was 1 or 2 after the first second. Here they come, distracted, they're pouring in. Oh, my friends. Wow. Well, that was pretty pathetic, but I say that with tremendous love and belief in your true capabilities. So don't give up yet. So here we go. So how long do you think that was for yourself? I mean, they're still coming in now. There were many that flooded in with the first 3 or 4 seconds. 5 seconds. Okay, distracted, fine. Now, a lot of you will say, well, Rabbi Katz, a glass is so boring. I hope you will say the class is so boring, only 5 minutes in, but the glass is so boring. If it was something more interesting, if it was, I don't know, something more interesting, I could have focused longer. So the interesting thing is that's true, but it shouldn't be true. People can watch, say, I have ADHD, I have no concentration, but then they watch, 15 hours of Harry Potter movies back to back, completely absorbed. So why sometimes do we have concentration and why other times don't we? So the answer is very simple, because a Harry Potter movie needs to have every 5 minutes, a horse turning into a unicorn, shows you how much you know about Harry Potter, really nothing at all, or a train, something exploded, someone flying through the air. There has to be something constantly changing because they need to grab your attention. The question, the true objective way to clarify concentration is how long you can think of something or focus on something which is not interesting for you, because that shows your personal mastery. You understand, not what they're doing to get your mind's attention, but what you are able to generate internally to give your attention to something. So here we basically I'll tell you what the average one is. The average concentration for these kind of groups is usually 7 or 8 seconds, often 7 seconds. So I'm sorry to break the news to you. That's where we're mostly up to. Let me make a deal with you tonight. Let's say that in the next 45 minutes, I could double the group's average concentration span. Would that be exciting to you all? Not so impressive. So someone's nodding, but okay, not so. Okay, so what if I could triple it? How much would you expect to spend? Right, but if you get a free set of steak knives tonight, what if I could triple your concentration in the next 45 minutes? So did anyone believe that I could? What if I could quadruple it? June's excited. She gave me a full thumbs up. So what would that? So something with 3 seconds. So quadrupling would be like 12 seconds. That's not so exciting. Okay. So here's the deal. I'm going to make you an offer. I'm going to get this group's average concentration span up to 2 full minutes with perfect concentration, without a single other thought crossing your mind, completely uninterrupted. And it's going to be so strong for the most of the group that I'm going to have to yank you out of it to end the class, because I'm not allowed to go over an hour. Okay. Now, do you think that's possible? Anyone think that's possible? I sound like a used car rabbi. Okay, so Yaroslav says 20% would be amazing. Everyone else apparently believes in me, or you believe in yourself. So how are we going to pull this off? They've got this on my permanent record. This is recorded. So this is a true statement. So 45 minutes, I'm going to take the group, the average concentration span up to about 2 minutes plus, without a single other thought crossing your mind. Number one. Now, some of you in the audience are saying, Rabbi, that may be true for the rest of the group, but I have ADHD. It will never work for me. So first of all, let me clarify. When I say 2 minutes straight, I don't mean with Ritalin. That the secret I'm going to give you tonight is not everyone take the Ritalin, drop it on your tongue, and let's try that again. So hands up if you here are saying to yourself, let's be honest right now, give me a yes or no on the bus, but I have ADHD, I have terrible concentration, it'll never work for me. I'm the one, Rabbi, it'll never work on. With anyone thinking that? Let's see, they'll come up in a second. I betcha. So here they come. So what's the interesting point? Listen very carefully, ADHD people. This is going to work better for you. That's my claim to fame. right? ADHD is not just a disease, it's a very powerful kind of mind, and you have to know how to channel it. And this technique is, I've heard from many, many people, is a breakthrough with people with ADHD because they have an incredibly powerful engine and they don't know how to channel it. So today, right now, I'm going to teach you how. So here's the game. Number one, can we get to 2 minutes, perfect concentration, not a single other thought crossing your mind? Where do we begin? Here. So what? So what if you could increase your concentration? What would be the value for you right now if you had uninterrupted perfect concentration? Show me in the box. Tell me how that would serve you. This skill is for everyone, says Doniel. Pass my tech exam. So it would help you focus. That's for sure true. More productive. The productivity, the anthem of America. I'd be able to dabble with more kavana. You certainly can use this tool in amazing ways. We won't get to those applications tonight. Increased productivity, but they're there. Get stuff done. Reduced anxiety. Absolutely reduces anxiety. Peace of mind works better. So let's review this very, very briefly so we can get busy and get to work. The most common thing that people say is productivity. I could focus more. I'd be motivated more, and that's absolutely true. But I want to tell you what the mystics and the Balei Musa from our tradition, the spiritual masters of our tradition, what they teach is the most powerful mission, purpose of concentration. The most powerful mission and purpose of concentration is that what you think about is what you make a connection with. What you think about is what you make a connection with. Is the Baal Shem Tov, the great spiritual master, the Baal Shem Tov says, B'kol makam she'adam mechashev shamhu. Translation, you are wherever your thoughts are. You are wherever your thoughts are. And the Baal Shem Tov would say, you are more when your thoughts are than when your body is. You are more where your thoughts are than when your body is. And, there's many, many stories, many, many examples of this kind of thing. There was a student that came to me a while back, and she was in a terrible marriage, and she was telling me about the abuse and the pain and the suffering that she goes through. It wasn't actually abuse, just the trauma. And I actually met her husband. She brought him in, and I met the husband, and I was shocked when I met the husband because the husband seemed like a sincerely nice guy and a sincerely gentle guy. And it didn't seem to be the monster that she painted him to be. And when I went to speak to her, the more she spoke about it, and the more I spoke to him, he was like, I will do anything for my wife. I will change anything I need to change. But you don't usually hear that from men, by the way. You usually hear the men egotistical and denying it. And I turned back to the woman after her husband had left the room, and then she started crying, and she started telling me, it's really phenomenal, but she started telling me that I know he's doing his best, and I know he really cares. But and she started going, it's like, we went through a process, and I got her to close her eyes, and I got her to think about when her husband talks in a certain way, what's that bringing up for her? And what happened is she went all the way back to a time when she was 5 or 6 years old. And I remember that the story was that she bought this mug or something she made in school home for her father. And she went to give it to her father, and as she gave it to the father, she dropped it on the floor and it shattered. And the father lost it and was so angry. And rather than comforting her, the father reached out, and I just want to do this with my hands. The father slapped her across the face. A 5-year-old girl slapped her across the face. And this is something that happened to this girl a lot. So some tremendous traumatic experiences. And what she started to realize was every time the husband today, am I still here? Can you all hear me? Every time the husband today would say something, a little just putting down, a little not completely positive, she would have this feeling of total rejection. She had this feeling like she was going to be shattered again, slapped again. And the idea that we discussed together, my friends, is, how long, let me find a way to frame this for you. How long does a slap in the face last? Right? A slap across the face. Is it a second? Is it half a second? Is it a quarter of a second? So some slaps last a quarter of a second. And some slaps can last literally 35 years. Because when she's with her husband, she is feeling and experiencing, her nervous system, her consciousness is feeling and experiencing that slap as more of a reality than the presence and care of the husband in front of her. You understand that? There's a whole incredible book by Viktor Frankl called Man's Search for Meaning. And not to oversimplify a complex and beautiful idea, but one of the things he says is, how do people survive the Holocaust? How did people survive Auschwitz? Some of them got psychologically wrecked and destroyed, but other people managed to thrive and grow and stay sane in the camp. So one of his hypotheses is the idea that they kept their mind in the future. They were thinking about, once I get out of here, I'm going to lecture on morality. I'm going to make a difference in the world. I'm going to fight for justice. So even though they were in the camp, so to speak, they were more in the future. They were more, their body, their nervous system, their consciousness was more engaged in the possibility of life and the goodness of life and the morality of life, even though they're living in the most immoral, darkest places in history. So we are where our thoughts are more than where our body is. Does everyone understand that? So what you can focus on, what you can think about, is what you build connection with. And what you build connection with is what you build relationship with. What you think about is what you build connection with. What you build connection with is what you build relationship with. Now, relationship means, just think about it. The more I think about my failures, the more I review the darkest points of my life, the more I review all my suffering and my sickness, right? Then the more I build a relationship with myself, so to speak, that is crumbled, that is broken, that is abandoned, that is rejected, that is unworthy. The more I focus on divinity, the more I focus on my light, the more I focus on my possibility, the more I focus on my worthiness and think about them and ruminate on the positive, not the automatic pilot of ruminating on the negative. The more I create a connection with that energy, with that part of myself, that part of my nature, and then the more I build a relationship with that part, so that becomes my truth, that becomes my second nature. So the essence of teaching concentration is teaching motivation, is teaching transformation. The most powerful commodity we have is our attention. More than the money of value we're worth, more than our time is our attention. And we have to be careful where we give it, not to let others demand it from us, and not to let the darkest parts of our mind and our heart demand it from ourselves. So if a person only has 8 seconds of attention under their control, if you have 5 seconds of attention under your control, then how do you think about the joy of the possibility? You've got that thing coming up tomorrow and you're petrified about it. And you keep thinking scary thoughts about it, darkness about it. But to get your best self in that flow state, you need to be thinking the goodness and the possibility and the joy, the excess and your talent and how it's all going to come together in that moment. But how do you keep your consciousness there? And how do you build your consciousness in a healthy way if we only have 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds to really do that before we get distracted by all our fears? Sustained attention. The Hebrew word for what we're going to learn today is called rikuz hamakshava, the focusing and harnessing of consciousness. So with that in mind, 7 seconds. Could I teach you how to focus on someone you love or something you love for 2 minutes plus? Could I teach you to focus on the greatest moments in your life, to feel your success and your potential for 2 minutes plus? So that it's so clear and so lucid that you, even if the phone rang, you wouldn't even notice because you'd be so engaged in that potential. This is the game, my friends. Are you ready? Are you ready? We've got half an hour to do this. We're a little behind the time. Let us dive in right now. The first thing I need to teach you how to do, I need to teach you how your mind works. I want you to understand not just the technique, I want you to understand a little of Torah's model of consciousness, because on the Elevation project, as Doniel mentioned, we teach around the world the Torah model of consciousness, and it's such a profound model of human consciousness. As far as I'm concerned, I believe it's one of the most advanced and sophisticated and nuanced models of all human consciousness available in the world today, from modern science and ancient wisdom. And if you understand even a little about your mind, then suddenly you're able to do things you never imagined possible. So today I'm going to teach you basically 4 parts of your mind, 4 or 5 parts in your mind. I want to give you a quick overview and definition of these parts of your consciousness. And then I'm going to show you how to use them, one in particular, in a very interesting way. So, if I would say to you right now, which part of your mind do you concentrate with? Because if you could only concentrate 5 seconds, so obviously you're going to say to me, well, my mind is not working very well. My mind is broken, but your mind is totally fine. You're all going to be able to do this by the end, as you'll see. So it must be that something weird is going on that I can't concentrate. So if I would say increase your concentration, would you furrow your brow? Would you kind of clench your hand? How do you increase your concentration? The shivers, will we shuckle, we move back and forward? Does that really help? That's a question to explore. So how do you increase your concentration? So to answer that question, we have to understand what are the faculties of consciousness engaged in the mechanism of concentration. And if we knew what they were, then we could align the system better to work in our favor. So here we go right now. I want everybody, we're going to do something very practical to make this work. Hey, Tahila, can you give me a yes or no? Can you hear me pretty well like that? If I put the camera there, my microphone there?
Yeah, you're good.
Great, here we go. I got a nod from Allison. Thanks for that great audience feedback. Here we go, my friends. I need everyone to put everything out of your hands. I need you to uncross your arms and legs. We're going to go on a little experiential journey into our consciousness right now. This is pretty simple. For 1 minute, we're going to do an exercise. And the exercise is simple. I'm going to say 2 words for 1 minute. And as I say 2 words for 1 minute, I want you to be aware what happens in your consciousness as I say them. That's all. You're going to sit there. I'm going to say 2 words, 1 word for 30 seconds, and then another word for about 30 seconds. And you're just going to watch your mind. You're going to be mindful of what comes up for you through these words. And as I say these 2 words, I want you to watch in 4 different levels. 4 different levels. I want you to see if there's any shift in your body as I say these words. Any tangible shift, tension, release, energy coming up, coming down. Any tension, shift, positive or negative in the body. We don't have to judge positive or negative right now. All we have to do is just be aware of what's going on. Number 1, body. Number 2 is emotions. How can 2 words create emotions? Let's see. What emotions come up for you? Any emotion at all as I say these words. Number 3 is imagery and memory. Do you suddenly get a flashback of something, of someone? Does some picture come up in your mind? Something you're aware of, something you're not aware of? Pictures, imagery, memory. Number 4, beliefs. Certain beliefs about yourself, your life, certain beliefs about me or rabbis or people in black hats, right? So here we go. It's a simple exercise. I need everyone to sit up straight in your chair if you can handle this. I need you to uncross your arms and legs. I'm going to ask you to be palms open in a receptive mode. We're going to watch body. We're going to watch emotion. We're going to watch memory, beliefs, and imagery. And we're going to watch, see what comes up for us. If this, for some weird reason, gets a little intense for you, you just shake out your hands and tune me out for the last few seconds of the exercise. And try some deep breathing and you'll be totally fine. It's only going to last a few seconds. Are you ready? Everyone take a deep inhale with me now. Inhale and exhale. And inhale one more time. And exhale. Wonderful. Here we go. Staring at the screen, staring at my eyes as much as you can for the next minute. No. 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 Mm. Mm-mm. Mm. No. 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 Take a deep inhale. A deep exhale. Just be aware of the body, of the emotion, image and memory, and beliefs about myself, the world, yourself. Keep looking at me right now in my eyes. Notice if there's any shift. Yes. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Yes. Ah, yes, yes, yes. Yes, 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 yes. Wow. Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, 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 yes. And take a deep inhale, everybody. Hold the way in and hold it and hold it and exhale. And a deep inhale and exhale. Okay, I need everybody right now to just shake your hands out like this. Shake your hands out. That's the end of the exercise. We are over. We are clear. We are released. Shake your shoulders if you need to. Clap with me together. Can we clap? Can we clap for everyone in the world? A round of applause for yourselves. Okay. Now, I just want you to take a second right now to reflect, and I want you to write in the box. Let's begin. What did you feel in your body? Did you any emotions come up, quote unquote positive, quote unquote negative, imagery, memory? Let's start on the box right now. Physical sensations. Let's start right at the now. Physical sensations: tense, surprise, tightness, none, resistance to no. Julian, where was the resistance? Fear, blocked, joy. No, I was numb, a feeling of numbness, crying, foreboding, nothing, strength, fight, squinted eyes, tense, upper stomach, weird, right? Okay, no fear, but tense and anger, shock, apprehension, smiling, bad. Okay, risk is, rather than using the word bad, describe what it is, unpack that. On the defense, tears. Oh, Susan, okay, a group hug, everybody. Hold in there. We're going to turn that around in a very powerful way in a second. A feeling of rejection. Okay, so here we go. I'm bad, a feeling that you are bad. Now, isn't this fascinating? Is anyone surprised? Yes or no? Are you surprised by the reaction that came up from a rabbi? Some are saying yes, some are saying no. First of all, it's fascinating because you know I'm not really saying no to you, right? You know I'm not really rejecting you. I don't even know you. I can't even see most of you. So look how a simple word triggers, awakens our consciousness, what's called a tatakara, what's called the subconscious, what's called our midat, the sophoni, the hidden levels of consciousness within my mind, as our sages from the Talmud already discuss it. Fine. So here we go. So give me a yes or no. Did you feel sensations in your body? A yes or no? Positive or negative? So let's see. We got a couple no's and lots of yeses. Here they come. Fine. We've discussed what they are. Emotions. Yeah, give me a yes or no. You guys, emotions. What emotions did you think from the first part, the second part? Let's hear some of the emotions, like feeling of guilt, right? Of anger, of anxiety, of extreme pain, surprise, right? A feeling that I am bad. Okay. Now, who saw imagery, memory? Give me one line of an image or memory. Did you have a flashback from a childhood, a flashback from yesterday, a certain relationship, a teacher, right? My mama, right? My mother from childhood, right? Listen how these come. If you didn't have this, realize how many people did say of my daddy, of a principal, right? Of shudders, of a father telling me, fantastic. Any beliefs? Give me a couple of beliefs right now. So somebody said, I'm bad, right? Now, obviously, you don't think I think you're bad. In fact, it's an exercise. It's shtick. We know we're playing a game. But the subconscious mind, the unconscious mind doesn't know anything different between objective reality and any trigger that can trigger up its what's called dimion, its imagination. I can never achieve anything. I'm being protected. I'm in trouble. I'm bad and wrong. I didn't believe the yes. Did anyone find that you were highly triggered by the no's, but you were completely numb to the yeses? Raise your hand or give me a yes on that. Right. So that says a very, very deep thing. Some people, they believe the negative. Many people believe the negative. We find it hard to believe the positive. That's why in sales, you can make, you can have 1,000 sales to make that day and you make 997. But at the end of the day, the last person calls you an idiot and hangs up on the phone on you. And you walk out of the door thinking, I'm a total failure today. Because the nature of our lower consciousness, our animal soul, our nefesh Bahamas, as it's called in Hasidus, is we associate more easily with negative than we do with positive. And we need to be more mindful, engage our consciousness to override the negative so we feel more gratitude, more love, more connection. It takes more consciousness to attune ourselves to positive, and the less conscious we are, the more we attach to guilt or shame or to anger or to sadness or fear, etc., etc. So now, my friends, I'm going to try and be a little technical with you. We're having a little technical issue before, so bear with me 1 second now. I want to introduce you to what our sages call these levels of consciousness, okay? So right now, not all of them are here on the screen, but I just want you to bear with me. There are 7 in the Elevation Project. We've gone through all of the teachings of consciousness by our sages, and we've kind of tried to map and consolidate the core rules. So there's really 7 core faculties of human consciousness. And for what we are going to learn today about concentration, I just need to share with you 4 or 5 of them. And really, it's going to just come down to one core one. So let's go. From the bottom up, the level of the body and the body sensation is called the guf. In Hasidus and Kabbalah, it's also called the nefesh. So the word guf or nefesh represents the body, physical, tangible level. And the Baal Shem Tov says very clearly, if you're into the mind-body connection, he says the physical body is just the lowest part of human consciousness. So he considers the body as a dense, manifest expression of consciousness. And the Baal Shem Tov and many of our sages discuss that all of healing comes, all of illness comes from the body being connected to our consciousness. And that's the root of all emotional disconnection, which then crashes and causes physical disconnection, therefore physical illness. And the Baal Shem Tov says the healing of all physical ailments comes by reconnecting our body to consciousness, raising the frequency of the body back to more consciousness and light. And that's a very deep teaching, and it can really create miracles in healing for people. But staying on the subject today, so the physical sensation of the body memory, the fact that a woman can literally make a child and give birth to a child, even though intellectually she doesn't know how to do that. She never went to that class. She doesn't have a PhD in that, right? But the body knows, and the body has that memory and recall. So I can say no to you, and you can feel the feeling of the time your father said no to you. That's the body. Number 2 is called the middas. The middas are called the emotions, right? The middot, the emotions, the desires, the drives, that's the heart. The heart is the seat of human motivation. You can know something is true, but until it's in your heart, you don't actually live it. You don't actually act upon it, right? And all emotional work and emotional transformation, it's got to do with middas. The Vilna Gaon, the famous Vilna Gaon says the purpose of life is to heal our middas, is to transform our emotions, our destructive desires, and align our emotions, our destructive desires, not to repress them. The Torah is not a path of repression. We're not supposed to be intellectual and not care about our emotions. Torah is not a path of negation. Torah is a path of elevation. How can we use our emotions in a powerful way, in a focused way, in a healthy way, in an aligned way, right? Destructive emotions is emotions and desires that automatically act against our higher values and belief systems. Elevated emotions, what we call tikkun midas, to elevate and heal our emotions, is when we feel passionately about our values and our truth and the sensitivities of our soul, that our head and heart are aligned together. So that's number 2. Dimion is the idea, also called hirhurim. Dimion is the idea of imagination. Imagination means that you suddenly thought back about the picture of the father, the picture of the teacher, right? You flash back to childhood. Imagination, says the Rambam, actually has the 5 senses. We can see in our imagination, hear in our imagination, touch, smell, taste in our imagination, right? It likes to see details. It can make things real. So that's the part of our mind that we dream with, right? And what dreams are and how they work, we can break down another time. That's the core part of it. There's another part here that I haven't written down. It's called das detuma. That's beliefs. So beliefs is called das detuma. Beliefs are all the beliefs we have about the world, which may or may not be true. I just think that is true. I think that's a bad person. Then you sit down and speak to them and go, actually, they're actually really genuine. Why did I think they're bad? Where was that belief came from? So the answer was generated by emotion or fear, rather than generated from a higher level of consciousness. So in review, are you ready, my friends? When I said yes or no, you felt a body sensation. That's nefesh or guf. That's one part of our consciousness. You felt middas, emotions. That's another part of our consciousness. You had flashbacks, imagery, memory. That's another part of our consciousness. And you had beliefs. That's another part of our consciousness. So we just did an exercise and engaged 4 different parts of our consciousness, right? Right? More or less. So here's $1 million question for you. Was there any other consciousness at play in that exercise? Was there only 4? Or was there another factor in there as well? Think back to that 1 minute. I'm saying yes, I'm saying no. You're watching what's happening. So let's see if anyone can get this. What was the hidden fifth in there? So here I see it coming in from Netta. Here I see it coming is from Viscas. Here I see it coming from Pauline. Beautiful. So it's what's called the observer. It's what's called the witness, the witnessing mind. Now, if you've ever learned mindfulness, incredible stuff. All mindfulness is literally into over thousands of years and literally word by word. So we know that's called the witnessing part of our mind. In Hebrew, the Hebrew word for witness is the word aid. Ayin Dalet, if you know that. Ayin Dalet. If you flip around the letters aid, it's the word da, which means knowing. So in Hebrew, the witnessing part of your consciousness is actually called da, or also called das. So the das is the fifth element at play. The fact that you were aware of your body sensation, that you were aware of your emotions, that you're aware of your beliefs and imagery, the fact that you reported back to me what you saw meant that you weren't entirely consumed by those sensations. There was a part of your consciousness which was outside, watching what was happening inside and able to witness and report that. That part of consciousness is called das. That word is literally the same letters as the word witness. So now we have 5 levels of consciousness. We've got body consciousness, emotional consciousness, image of a memory, beliefs, and the true self-aware, true nature of being called das. Today, I promise you, I was going to teach you how to have at least minimum 2 minutes focus, uninterrupted concentration, without any other thought crossing your mind. Here's the $1 million question. To achieve that, my friends, which part of your mind, which of those 5 parts, which one is it which is responsible for your ability to concentrate? So now you all have to figure it out. So listen, let me say, I want everyone to hazard a guess here. Let's learn this together. Now, first 4 say das, observe the das. Miriam Braves from the heart, from the emotion. Yaffa says from Dimion. Devor goes back and says the das, the objectivity, the consciousness, the imagination. Okay, so here we've had the idea, says those argue for das, for the observing self. There's those who argue for the imagination. There's those that argue for the emotion. Some people often say when you feel concentrated, it's a full body experience. Even your body's in it. The healers go with Judy's idea. Okay, you ready to hear the answer to the question? Let's do a process elimination. You all think it's das, right? You all think it's the aware self. I'll give you a proof why it's not. It's very easy. You know when you want to focus on something and you can't do it, and you keep saying, if you pray, if a Torah Jew like me, and for 3 times a day you go to pray, you say, now I'm really going to concentrate, and then suddenly you start having imagery and memories and emotions about yesterday, about tomorrow, and you can't do it at all. So the observing self-aware self doesn't seem to be able to concentrate, right or wrong, right? If you say it's about imagery, if you say it's about memory or those kind of things, well, you know, when I concentrate, I'm really into imagery and memory. So that's a really good idea. But often when I get distracted about things I don't want to concentrate about, often as I'm going off on imagery and memory, and I don't even remember what I'm supposed to be thinking about, right? It's interesting that people say emotion, because the Hebrew word to pay attention to something, anyone know what the Hebrew term is for paying attention? It's actually sim lev. Sim lev, sumat lev, which literally means to place the heart, because the heart is the engine of consciousness, and your thoughts go after your heart, right? So when your heart is passionate about something, you want to think about it and think about it and think about it, for better or for worse, if you haven't noticed in life. But that's unfortunately not the answer either, because sometimes you really need to focus on finishing writing the assignment, and your heart just wants to watch another 17 hours of YouTube or Netflix. So the $1 million question is, how do I sim lev? How do I get my heart to focus on the thing that I want to focus on? Are you with me? Okay, I'm speaking out to video land. Quick emotional check-in. How's the session going for you so far? Don't give me good or bad. Give me a 1 or 2 word summary for you emotionally, because I'm trying to sim lev of your own heart, okay? Fine and dandy, great and awesome. Allison's learning, following you, keep me focused, interesting stuff. It's a little fast for AJ Klein. Whoever was confused, you can ignore everything I'm saying right now and just catch the last 5 minutes, and you'll have a wonderful tool. So just, chill out, go with the flow. Fascinating, people having fun. Here we go, my friends. I'm running this through for you. We lost 10 minutes at the beginning. You'll forgive me if I go 5 minutes over, but I think it's going to be worth your while. Which faculty of concentration is the key to having perfect concentration? Which faculty of consciousness is the key to perfect concentration? The answer is the following, my friends. Are you ready to hear the answer? The answer is it's not one, but it's two. The secret to perfect concentration. Concentration is a shidduch, a zivug, an intimate bond between das and dimyon, between consciousness and imagery. It's actually considered, mystically speaking, and I don't mean to be inappropriate, and I will just use these words, we're all mature adults here. It's actually considered like a sexual act, an intimate act between consciousness and imagery. And if you can get them to click in together, if you can get them to align together, and I'm going to show you the secret how to do that today, then the rest of your consciousness, the emotion jumps on board, and then your body energy jumps on board. And as you're going to do this in the last 2 minutes together, your whole system locks into perfect alignment, and that's called flow state. What I'm going to show you the secret today is many people have had moments in life where they experience flow state, you know, where they have an assignment to do and they push it off for 3 months and then finally push it off till the night before. And then at 4 o'clock in the morning, they're finally in the flow state, but it's too late to actually get the work done, right? So what I teach people around the world to do is how to get into the flow state on cue. I'm not going to show you the full ability how to do that tonight, but this is the technique to do it. If you sit down, you work it out. This is the technique to cue flow state at any time. A flow state means alignment, and the secret of alignment is the secret how to place the heart. Is you have to create a unity between the consciousness, the das, and the dimyon, the imagery. I'm going to show you how to do that right now. You ready? Stick with me. I'm going to give you a funny way to do it, a funny way to understand it. Let me give you a new paradigm. People usually think mistakenly that concentration comes from das, because das is, I'm conscious, I'm mindful, I have an intent, I want to focus on how much I love my wife and not be angry at her for 5 minutes. I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about hypothetically. My wife is a wonderful angel in my life. I'm totally blessed to have her. But just let's say I'm having a problem marriage and I want to focus on that. So I have an intent. My consciousness wants to focus on that. But then my dimyon, my imagination, and my thoughts and my heart take me everywhere in the world but that. Fine. So now I have to get them in line. So the mystics say the secret to concentration, now write this line down. You're going to think it's ludicrous and doesn't make any sense, but in 10 minutes from now, it's a game-changing secret to your life and you'll get it. The secret to perfect concentration is that you think concentration is a dot, but really, concentration is a circle. Yes, I'll say that again. You think concentration is a dot, but really the secret to perfect concentration is it's a circle. And I'm going to reframe that right now. You think concentration is a masculine energy thing, but the secret to concentration is it's actually a feminine energy thing. Now, what that really means is following. You're going to understand that deeply in a second. It really means we think concentration is a dot, but concentration is really a dot together with a circle. We think concentration is masculine, but it's really the masculine together with the feminine. And the reason most people can't concentrate is because they literally repress the feminine energy of their consciousness. And the secret to concentration is really a feminist empowerment energy in your consciousness, which you're going to see, which is we embrace the feminine and unite it with the masculine. And then we create the child from that, which is the emotion and the passion and the motivation that results. And I'm getting ahead. You're getting ahead. I'm getting ahead of you. Watch this. I'm going to share a little screenshot with you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. Now, here's what you need to know. Das, in modern Hebrew, das is called dat, which is the same word as dot, which is synonymous with masculine. And dimyon is synonymous with the word circle. The idea of a circle is the idea of a female. Now, don't get overwhelmed by this. For those that like something deep, I'm going to give you 10 seconds, 2 minutes of something deep. If you don't get this, you will still be able to do the magic trick at the end, okay? For those that like it, see there's a dot here. I don't know if you can see my mouse. Can you see my mouse? Anyone see my mouse right now? There's also a circle there. Imagine a big circle around that dot. What does it mean that you think concentration is a dot, but really it's a dot in a circle? Fine. In Kabbalah, masculine energy is illustrated by a dot, and feminine energy is illustrated by a circle. There's always the idea that the feminine energy surrounds the masculine energy. So in brief, if this interests you, somewhere on Vimeo, you can Google When Boy Meets Girl, Doniel Katz, and there's a whole 3-hour class on this, so you can go find it. If the subject and the Kabbalah behind this interests you in general. The idea is like this. Masculine always represents, and we're not talking about men only or women only. Every man and woman has masculine and feminine energy within them. So we're just talking archetypes, Kabbalistic archetypes. Masculine represents potential, DNA, untapped potential, the seed, the vision, the potential of what can be. The feminine represents the manifestation of the potential. If the man represents the spiritual vision, the woman represents bringing heaven down to earth. That's why we have Mother Nature, Mother Earth, right? So the man represents singularity. He gives a seed. The woman represents multiplicity because she expands the vision, she expands the potential, and she breaks it down into all the component parts. She literally takes the seed and breaks it down through the process of mitosis for months and months. The man represents outside space and time. It's simply a will and intent. He literally drops the seed and his work is done. The woman then creates a whole body out of that involving space and takes 9 months to bring that to birth, expanding out over time. So the masculine represents the film script, but the woman represents, so to speak, the director that shoots that script and brings that to life, right? So the man represents the DNA, the woman represents the tangible expression of that in the world. Are we all still following together? You've got that in general. So that's why a dot, so to speak, a dot is the masculine, because a dot represents, geometrically speaking, it's an idea, it's a potential, but it has no dimensional expression. You understand that? A woman is the circle around the dot. So the circle represents, she's holding space. The woman is a tremendous facilitation energy, drawing out the potential of another, the nurturer. She's the nurturer. Doesn't mean that women don't have potential to be drawn out. Doesn't mean men can't be a facilitator or a good listener. That's not what we're saying. We're talking archetypes. So what happens is, if you've noticed, my friends, listen very carefully. If you've ever been to a Jewish wedding, right? The man stands in the center and the woman walks around and around. That's why the man gives a woman a ring. The ring represents the feminine energy of the circle, the manifestation of potential. The reason you can't concentrate is because you think concentration is done with a dot. A dot is just an idea, unmanifest. Now, let me give a funny example of this right now. Before, when I said, I want you to focus on one thing, a glass, and see how long you can focus for. And most of you went 3 or 5 seconds. Say yes or no right now. Yes, if the whole time you just said there and you went something like a glass, a glass, a glass, a glass. If you more or less, I see a bunch of people laughing right now. It seems like I got you. There says Allison, there says Miriam. So look what you're trying to do. You're trying to fix an intent. This is what I want to focus on. But then the intent is not being manifest. It's not going anywhere. And you consider going somewhere, right? As in, well, I'm going to go off the glass. Well, I went out for drinks last night with my friends. I saw some nice glasses at IKEA. Oh, my IKEA furniture is broken. I have to get it fixed. Why? It's always made of cardboard. I always forget buying that. I always get ripped off. Why do I always get ripped off? Why am I always rejected, right? So whenever we go off the subject, we always usually go around in a circle, end up crashing our mind, basically. So what happens is a single point. I want to focus on something. I want to focus on something. But then suddenly my Doniel, my imagination pops in and says, let's go somewhere else. But then I lose it. So I push down the feminine part. I push down the circle. My mind spirals out of control. I'm going around in circles. You ever try and think something through, but you're going around in circles? That's the feminine energy. So watch, I'm going to show you right now how to make concentration work. Now, if you haven't understood anything else that I've said, don't panic now and in general. That's a great life piece of advice. I want you to focus on what I'm going to say right now for the next 5 minutes. And this is the practical tool of how to concentrate. To concentrate, it's not enough to have an intent. It's not enough to have das. It's not enough to have a dot. You have to bridge the intent with the feminine power of manifestation. And you have to empower the female energy to do its thing with trust. To understand the female energy, and I'm only talking about consciousness tonight, and another time we could explore those roles. Maybe it's a good idea to heal our male-female relationships. There's enough to say that, especially in a controversial way in 2021. We can explore that together. It goes like this. The key property of the female energy is, number one, it works in a circle. Number two, it works in manifestation. Manifestation means details and senses. I just don't want it in theory. I want to get into the nitty-gritty details. I want to talk out the whole story as it happens in real time. One. And two is I want the sensations. I want to feel it. I want to have the emotion of it. I want to connect to the experience of it. So one is a circle. Number two is the details and sensations. The three is, and this is a powerful thing of how a feminine energy works. Feminine energy pulses, which means it gets very excited and pumped about something. The feminine is always the moon, okay? The moon waxes and wanes. It's not consistent. The sun, the masculine energy, this is the true rules in astrology as well, is consistent. But the feminine waxes and wanes over time. So that means the woman, the feminine part of your mind, works in short, sharp bursts. And this is why people have problems with concentration. Usually I try and focus on something and I have short, sharp bursts. So one of the Hebrew words that we mentioned for imagination is the word dimion, right? We said the word dimion. Let me show that to you right now over here. No, I don't have that on my screen. We're going to move on. We're way out of time. Here we go. The Hebrew word for imagination is dimion. Those that speak Hebrew know the three-letter root of every Hebrew word tells you the secret power of that word. What's the three-letter root of the word dimion, imagination? It's the word doimer, which means similar. The key other rule about the feminine power of the energy is, in English, we use the word free associates. The imaginative part of the mind free associates. What does that mean? It thinks about one thing, a glass, and it thinks about it for guess how long it thinks about it. It pulses. The answer is around 7 seconds, the average time most of you concentrated. It thinks about something for 7 seconds and it gets energetic, it gets excited, and then it stops, and then it free associates. It goes glass, and then it goes, oh, getting a drink with my friends last night. And then it starts thinking about the friends and who was there and the restaurant and who wasn't there. And then it starts thinking, wow, it goes for 7 seconds, gets very excited, and then stops, jumps track, free associates, and then goes, wow, I just thought of that guy that was there. Wow, is he going to call me? Is he not going to call me? 7 seconds, you get excited about the guy, stop, free associate, jump, doimer, dimion, right? And then he goes, well, he's not going to call me. Nobody's ever going to call me. I'm always going to die alone, etc., etc. So what happens is the feminine part of the mind, it wants to take the abstract potential, the idea. It wants to break it down into tangible, physical. It can only do that in short bursts. And what it does at the end of every burst, it stops and it free associates. Second, it stops and it free associates, and then it goes on to something else. And therefore, the reason you can't concentrate, my friends, is because whenever you try and use the power of your mind to experience something, you start jumping around. But the essence of what we want to concentrate on is one thing. It's what my does. I want to focus on self-love, okay? But what my mind does, it keeps jumping around from one thing to another. And that's why concentration is impossible. And that's the end of the class. I hope it was meaningful for you. And thank you so much. And good night, everybody. Nah, just teasing you. That's why concentration is impossible. But now I'm going to show you the workaround. And this is something I learned from my rabbi, and he learned one of my rabbis, and he learned from one of his rabbis, right? So this is an incredible, powerful tool. If concentration means, attention means I'm going to stay in one thing, but the nature of the feminine mind needs to move around to many things. How could I ever focus on one thing? So the answer, as it's stated in Hebrew, is to go me'inyan le'inyan ba'oiser inyan. To learn how to move from one subject to another subject within the same subject. This is the rule of the game. Let's say I want to focus on self-esteem. Let's say I want to focus on self-love. If you have a pen and paper in front of you right now, grab it right now. And in the middle of the page, write the word self-love. And let's say you've got a job interview tomorrow. Let's say you've got a date tomorrow. Let's say your kids are at home for the last 1,800 years for COVID, and you just feel like a total failure of a parent. And let's say, my friends, you need to focus for 10 minutes on your capabilities, your power, your joy, your resourcefulness, right? Because it's there. You just can't access it. You can't feel it. Yeah, I know I've got potential. I know I'm a better one than this. But how do I shift that state in a moment? How do I move myself from A to B and totally transform, trying to transform my consciousness into a flow state of incredible parenting? Yes, you can do it that fast with this skill set. This is the basic ABCs of the skill set tonight. What you do is you write in the middle of the page self-love. And the next thing you do, if you've done that right now, is cross out the word self-love. Cross it out. You know why you cross it out? Because concentration is not a dot, it's a circle. You can't sit and go self-love, 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 self-love. You're not going to feel self-love. Now, the next thing you do is, are you ready? I want you to think of 4 or 5 moments in your life, memories in your life, where you felt unbelievable self-love or self-worth. And I want you to write them in a circle around the dot. So that time I graduated and my parents thought I wasn't going to go very, very well, and I got the top in the school, right? So you write just a memory of that. And I was standing outside and we threw our hats in the air, whatever that was. The time when I went to the Western Wall, I felt I was finished in my life. I felt I was, not worth anything. And I put my hand on the wall and I was filled with so much light and infinite potential. The time when I gave birth to my first child, that feeling of so much love and so much caring you never imagined possible. I want you to write 4 or 5 of them in a circle around that. See, here's the secret of how you learn to feel self-love in life. You create what we call a machshava map, a mind map, different from the mind map you traditionally used, okay? You think of the one thing you want to focus on. You put it in the middle of the circle, number 1. 2 is you cross it out, because concentration is not a dot, it's a circle. And then you think about 4, 5, 6 examples of memories, of times, of beliefs that you have, of thoughts or theories around that central premise. And here's how you do it. You ready? Your mind is going to wander. I want to think about self-love. I can't think about self-love. Self-love is just a dot. But I can think about the day I graduated and how hard I worked and how hard everyone thought I wasn't going to do it. And I did, and I did successful. And I really felt I believed in myself and I can take on the world right now. And you're going to close your eyes. You're going to sit up straight. You're going to uncross your arms and legs. And if you want to be in lotus position, if you want to take 15 deep breaths, if you want to say some Zen kind of name, Sanskrit word, TM, whatever you want to say, and you calm your mind, as I'll teach you how to do in a second, very simply. And then you start to think about the graduation moment. And you use details. Is it day or is it night? What are colors? Who is there? Sight, sound, smells, image, memory, and you fill out the details. But here's the interesting thing. After 7 or 8 seconds, you're going to go, oh, but my grandma couldn't be there. Grandma was always upset with me, and then she passed away 2 months later and I never got to thank her. And oh my gosh, I failed in all my relationships in life. After 7, 8 seconds, your mind is already going to jump to another subject. You got that? So rather than letting it jump, after 7, 8 seconds, you go on to the second one. There I was at the Western Wall. And then I felt the light and the blessing and the peace. For 7, 8 seconds, you paint that picture. And before you go, but now I haven't been to Israel for years, and really I'm worried about the Palestinians. And then you go into this whole kind of, off the subject. After 7, 8 seconds, you jump before you're pushed, and you go to the third memory of self-love. And I was standing under my chuppah, and the fourth memory of self-love, 7, 8 seconds, there I was giving birth. And then at the end of the 4 or 5, then you come back to the first one, because concentration is not a dot, it's a circle, and you go round and round, 7, 8 seconds, 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds. So what you're doing is you're combining the intent of one, because I want to focus on self-love, but your imaginary mind will keep moving. So you create a path through the forest. You create a path through the distraction to tell it where to go. When you create a map from the beginning, then it knows where to go, then it doesn't get lost. You don't get lost in your mind. You stay on the path. And when the point and the circle unite together, incredible alignment suddenly kicks in. Now that's the theory. Is this interesting to anybody? Where are you all up to right now? Because I want to do, we're late, but to heal with your permission, I want to do the group experience right now, right? You ready to try this?
Is everybody okay with that? If you're not okay, you can leave. We're going to record it, but I would say stay if you can.
Okay, so here we go. They may not be okay. They don't have the concentration to sit through the hours. It could be a problem for them. So here we go. Let's try them out. I want to give the gift of letting you do this, and us all doing this together. And I want you to have the joy of sharing that with the group. So here's the fun. I've created 2 mind maps for you right now. This is a little different from what you're used to, so bear with me. Sometimes we use mind maps in elevation as a circle and a dot, as I just told you, but today we're going to use something else to experiment together. I've created 2 mantras. One is I create love in the world, because some people in life consider themselves victims. They were rejected, they weren't loved enough by their partner, by their parents. And they go through life always feeling like a failure, never enough. And they don't realize the biggest secret of life is if you think you're a victim, you are a victim, right? But I could generate the love for myself. I could heal my own heart. I could give love to others. I'm not like a vacuum of emptiness that needs to be filled. I am the source of infinite love, and I create love in the world. And that's an incredible, powerful mantra, not to just say as a word, but to step into the consciousness of. And there's another one that is Hashem created me holy. So here's one that some religious people, whatever that weird word means, some secular people may choose one another. But for tonight, for today, I want you to all choose one of these mantras right now. I create love in the world. Hashem created me holy. Write in the box which one you're choosing right now. And as we do this, you've seen what I've done. Why are there numbers on top of this? So the answer is very, very simple. Because what we're going to do right now is, rather than just say the words, we're going to say every word is a world. We're going to make each word a station on our mind map. Each word is station. So who am I? What are my talents, gifts, strengths, and abilities? What is my light in this world? What does it mean to be me and not you? Create. I am an artist. How does an artist create a canvas? How does a sculptor create the vase? What does it mean a man and woman create a child? What does it mean Hashem created the world? Love. Who do I love? What does life feel like, smell like, taste like? Who have I loved in life? What are the different dynamics of love? World. Is the world my inner world, the world on campus, the whole global world, all of humanities of the Jewish people, right? So this is what we're going to do right now. You've chosen one of these, right? Excellent. I'm going to help you relax yourself and calm your mind for 30 seconds. I'm going to count back down from 5 to 1. And when I get to 1, you're going to begin your process. 7, 8, 9 seconds. Create, 7, 8, 9 seconds. Love, 7, 8, 9 seconds. World, 7, 8, 9 seconds. And then concentration is not a dot, it's a circle. I create, love, world. Hashem created me holy. Each word is a station. Each word is a world. You're going to move through each word. You're going to choose one of these. Don't do both, just choose one. Each word, you're going to think Hashem, Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. Hashem is outside space and time. He's an infinite light and infinite energies. Love created, what does it mean Hashem created the world? You're going to think about each one. You're going to use visuals, imagery, memory, associations, emotions, details, sights, sounds, right? Think of associations. You do that for 7, 8 seconds, then you move to the second one, then you move to the third one, then you move to the fourth one, round and round. Hashem created me holy. Hashem created me holy. Here's the exercise, coming back to me for 1 second. I'm going to help you relax for 30 seconds. I'm going to count back down from 5 to 1. When I get to 1, you're going to begin with your mantra. At the beginning, you may get a little distracted. Don't worry. You may find that it's a little too long and you have to jump a little faster. You may find you're just saying the words and you're not giving it long enough to get into it. So if you get distracted once or twice, don't say anything yet and keep going. Then after that, you're going to get into the groove and you're going to stay there. And as you get into the groove and stay there, should you get distracted and another thought cross your mind, then I want you to hit the button distracted. Everyone write distracted in the box right now. Write distracted in the box right now. So here we go, my friends. Oh, I'm sorry. Write in the box, but don't press enter. Write in the box, but don't press enter. We're just queuing it up. Writing in the box, but don't press enter. So I'm going to count back down from 5 to 1. When I get to 1, you're going to start. If you get distracted, don't press enter yet. Just try to get the rhythm and the groove. Once you get the rhythm and the groove, ride it and enjoy it. I create love in the world. I create love in the world. Hashem created me holy. Go round and round. Enjoy it, connect to it, live it, breathe it. And let's see how far we can get. Let's see if the group can break the 3 or 5 or 7 second rule. You ready to do this, my friends? Here's the magic. I'm putting this back on screen. I'm going to help you feel calm for moments. You can keep your eyes closed and go round and round with your eyes closed. If you need to look at the screen, that's totally fine. Hashem still loves you. Sit up straight in your chairs right now. Uncross your arms and legs. Let's close our eyes together just to get going. I want everyone to take a deep inhale all the way in right now, all the way in right now, and hold it. 2, 3, 4, and exhale all the way out, all the way out, all the way out, all the way out, and hold it. 2, 3, 4, and deep inhale. 2, 3, 4, hold it. 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, 3, 4, hold it. 2, 3, 4, and in. 2, 3, 4, hold it. 2, 3, 4, and exhale. 2, 3, 4. Wonderful. Come back to normal breathing. Just allow your shoulders to relax. Allow your arms and your torso to relax, to feel warm and relaxed. We're now connected with 200 Jews around the world. Just open up to the light and the energy from this whole group learning and growing together. How beautiful that is. How special that is right now. I'm about to count down from 5 to 1. When I get to 1, you're going to start the mantra you choose. Every word you're going to give 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds to. Visualize, associate, connect, and then move to the next, around and around. If you get distracted at the start, don't hit the button. Just work on it a bit. You'll crack the code and you'll fly. Then after a minute or two, should you get distracted, then you'll hit the button and let me know you're distracted. You were born to do this. Your mind was born to do this. It's the easiest thing in the world. You can do it with your eyes open or closed, whatever works best for you. This is your gift now. I create love world. I create love world. Or Hashem created me holy. Hashem created me holy. Let's begin. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Colors, details, sights and sounds. Relax your shoulders, keep going. Doing wonderful, keep going round and round. If you get distracted, just try again. Okay, wonderful. Take a deep breath. Inhale and out, exhale. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. And how is that for everybody? And one work, I felt aligned. Wow, great, good. I did it. Awesome, great, wonderful. Wasn't distracted. Wow, amazing, calm, not distracted at work. Okay, that was 2 minutes 10, by the way. You pulled off 2 minutes 10. How's that for amazing? Now, by the way, if I had more time, I could have gone for 5 minutes and most of the group would have been with me. Isn't that fascinating? Now, more than concentration. Hands up. Give me if you had basic, yes or no. You basically more or less had 100% concentration for the 2 minutes. Yes or no? There's about 4 or 5 people. Yes, yes, yes. That's pretty incredible. There's a no. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Now, hands up if more than concentration, you felt like you were just kind of totally emotionally connected to it and aligned in it, right? If you felt it in your body, you felt it emotionally, you felt it like run through your system. There's a couple of notes transported and tremendous amount of yeses. So do you see how remarkably fast and easy it is to access the flow state, literally in 2 minutes by choice? How did we do that? We chose what we wanted to fix an intention on. We created component parts and we understood the relationship, as the mystics discussed, between das and Dimion. When you align together the masculine and feminine part of the mind, then you bring your heart and emotion, the children on board, and that creates alignment, which creates emotion, which creates motivation, and then you move into action. You feel calmer, more focused. Now, there's incredible applications for this tool. It's incredible as emotional healing technique. It's incredible to get flow states. When you have an assignment, you have to start tomorrow morning. There are tools you can use to access it and use it. But I just wanted to show you what's possible with a little Torah knowledge. There's an idea I want to end on. I know I'm super over time, and I'd love to hear everybody's stories. But right now, I just want to say one thing. It's fascinating to me that in most parts of the world, when people go to concentrate, it's because of their emotions and it's because of their imagination that they can't concentrate. So people always think, in Buddhism, they say we have to get the monkey mind is distracting me. The monkey mind is the midas, is the emotions, is the dimyonis, is the imagery. So I'm trying to stop my monkey mind. I'm trying to break my monkey mind. The Torah is not a path of negation. The Torah is a path of elevation. Right now, if you had ADHD, but you were able to do it and it felt great, give me a capital letter yes. I just want to know if anyone's out there, right? It's very, I feel so transported I could cry. Thank you, Ari. Look, there's a yes. Yes, look, here they come. Isn't that amazing? So listen very carefully to this. The very things that were causing us not to concentrate, Torah showed us how to use emotions, how to use dimions, how to elevate it. So the very thing that was blocking us is actually the thing that's now causing us to concentrate. This is the core Kabbalistic teaching of all reality, that sexuality, that money, that all these things in the world, they're not there to break us, to disconnect us. Torah is not a path of negation. We're not supposed to take physical things out of our life. If we can channel them, if we can harness them, if we know what is our dimion, how is it made? How does the structure of the feminine mind work? What is the heart? How's it made? With that, the Torah divine knowledge of what something is, what its purpose, we can harness that, channel that, and elevate it. And the very thing that was destroying us, undermining us, becomes the very thing that elevates us. That's the path of elevation. I hope that was meaningful for you. There's so much to discuss. When you only know elevation in your life, Tehillah, back to you.
Wonderful. Rabbi Katz, do you have 1 more minute to take questions?
I'm here. I feel bad we went so late, but I'm absolutely here for everyone as long as I can be.
Thank you so much. I know we said only an hour, but this has been wonderful, wonderful. And I hope that everybody has really, truly gained from this. So I'd love to take questions. I think for the next 10, 15 minutes, if we can manage it. But first question off the bat, this program, Level Up, that we asked you to join for, is specifically for how we can reach our goals. So we've been talking a lot about, how we're able to focus on our goal, visualize getting there. How would you recommend coming up with a sentence or utilizing this technique so we could, get past whatever's blocking us to really reach our goals?
Fine. So there's two ways that apply it on the spot. Number one is most people have some kind of goal in their life, right? But what happens is the goal gets physically and psychologically put on the back burner, right? So you may say, if everyone writes in the box right now what one of your goals are, it could be spiritual growth and development. It could be to better my relationship with my children. It could be to increase the money that I'm making every day, right? So it's one thing to have a goal, but the problem is that our goals get sent into exile. We get so distracted by responding to the everyday news and urgencies that, that's what a midlife crisis is. We wake up one day, one decade, and we go, how did I get here? This is not who I am, what I wanted. So what this technique does, it shows us a way to take the things that we know are true, that we want more of, and to take them from the back burner, put them back in our focus. If you take one of your goals, that means, I want to be more spiritually connected in my life. Forgive me, I'm a rabbi. That's what I assume everyone's goals is, but you'll forgive me for that one. So you put spiritual connection, and then you think of 5 times in your life of moments when you felt more spiritually connected, what you do, how did it work? And then you go round and round for 2, 3, 10 minutes, and you will find your whole being starts flooding with ideas of dreams, of hopes, of yearning, right? And it's that place you then say, wow, now I'm so aligned and I'm so engaged. The ideas start coming. There's versions of this I teach for innovation. If people are in startups and they need solutions, if people are in writing film scripts, they can't solve the problems in the script. If you go round and round like that, you open your intuitive ability. It's an incredibly powerful technique for intuitive ability. How would I increase my spiritual connection? How do I increase my relationship with my spouse, which is troubling? So write down a list of, I want to increase the relationship with my spouse and deepen the relationship with my spouse. That's one of my goals. So then think of 5 or 6 times in your life when you felt so aligned with them, so connected. And you can even do another list. If you do the first 5, then you do a list of what are 3 times in the next week I'm likely to feel disconnected. So this is a little bit more advanced technique. So when you wake up the positive connection, and then you face the 3 moments of disconnection, and then you say, well, now I'm really connecting to them. How could I channel some of the light of connection into the disconnection, right? So it's about choosing a value. When you give your attention to something, you give your heart to it, you build relationship with it. That's what we said. So take the values, write a list of 5, 6 values you want to work on, right? Then choose one at a time and invest your mind and your heart in being. And when you do that, you bring your heart to the table, your mind to the table, you bring your soul to your table. There's an idea that when you open up a little bit, Hashem will open up a lot. You walk to God, he'll run to you. So when you want to increase that relationship of love, or that challenging relationship with your child, and it's tough, you put your mind in that place of so much love, so much compassion. You ask Hashem in that state, ask God in that state, what can I do now to help that child? When you're aligned, your intuition is wide open and receptive, and incredible insight will come that doesn't usually when we're cold and disconnected from that place. So there's a couple of approaches you can try.
Wonderful. I think Julian had a question. Julian,
hey,
do you want
Julian.
to put it in the chat box, or do you want to unmute?
Yeah, I'll unmute. So I had a question. I posted it on in the Elevation Project workplace too, but within like last 10 years, they found out that some people are basically blind in their mind's eye. They call it aphantasia. I'm one of those, and I was wondering, are you familiar with anything as far as like how to develop visualization skills, or an alternative? Because my mind just works in a different way. Like when somebody visualize something, it's semantic, like a semantic web fires off in my head, and I just start thinking of different words that are attached, very much like the meditation you just taught.
Sure. So fine. So first of all, I'm not sure this is an answer that interests everyone. So I'll address it briefly, and we can go into it another time, another place if it doesn't. First of all, this does come up occasionally, and I've heard this question before. Number one, but we'll start with validation. Number 2 is, if you approach the same meditation without visualization, if you use sound, if you use emotion, if you use details, etc., does that create engagement for you?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I do.
Well, that's fine, so don't get hooked on what you can't do, and double down on what you can do. That's a good rule for this and a good rule for life in general, okay? So don't get fixed on, it's an illness and I can't do it, and here we go with a visualization I can't visualize. Double down on emotion. There's a well-known phenomenon with autistic people as well, that when their brain doesn't function in one way, it triple wires in the other direction. And sometimes they have better senses, better processing in other directions. So I would say, forget about the visualization, number 1. 2 is double down on everything else. 3 is see if there's something that's particularly strong for you. Maybe, maybe hearing awakens emotion in a more potent way for you. And that's wonderful, knowing what your talent and ability is. 3 is, and something you can experiment with, try the following line. I can't see it, but I'm going to pretend like I can see it. Sometimes when people try that, they've told me that suddenly works and they can't explain why. The one thing not to do is don't overinvest in trying to make it work, okay? So try saying, okay, I can't see it, but if I could see it, what would it be like? Well, there would be a tree there and the tree would be green. That could be fine. Don't have to see it. The last thing I want to say quickly is I think most people don't really visually see something. They have kind of associations like seeing. Some people do. And I think some people kind of get fixed on trying to see it and thinking they can't see it. And that also crashes their process. So that's what you really want to duck around and find other great paths in. Anything that helps you engage, connect, and awakens emotion and energy, that's the right path for you, and double down on it. And I'm excited to see where it takes you, Julian.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Over and out.
Wonderful. Does anybody else have any questions that they want to put into the chat box? I saw a couple earlier.
Or the mic. Mics are great too.
You guys have a YouTube channel, and do you have specifically Elevation Project books?
That's a question for me. We have a very intensive, long, deep, and awesome online series that there's hundreds of people in at the moment. There's thousands of people gone through. Check out elevationmastery.com. There's countless sources in Hebrew and English, and we teach meditation and consciousness and lots of incredible meditations like that. elevationmastery.com. If partners in Torah, if you all wanted to join that, I'm happy to create a discount for this group, so make it as easy as possible to get you all in, so we can work that out another time with our friends and partners in Torah. There's a bunch of books coming and excited things coming. And we also do seminars and retreats around the world when we're not in pandemic mode. So you have to be a little patient for that. But the online program is the best way. And there's tons of free content as well on my YouTube channel and SoundCloud with meditations and understanding consciousness. You're welcome to check that out as well. I hope that helps you, Yaroslav.
Wonderful. Also, for people who asked, the recording is going to be made available on our program page tomorrow, God willing. So if you have questions, then and you want to refer back to what Rabbi Katz had said, you could see that there. Okay, I saw a couple of other questions. I just want to go back up. How can this technique help with decision making? Oh, that's a great question.
Well, there's a whole class that I do applying this technique for decision making. So let me give you the brief rules. There's different things that block us from making good decisions, okay? So one of the things that blocks us from making good decisions is we just don't have enough data to make the decision. Should I marry this person or not? I've gone out with them twice. I don't know this, I don't know that. There's so much I don't know. So this doesn't help with the lack of information, the data retrieval part. Like that we have, right? But what is key is a lot of people get stuck on decision making because of emotional reasons. And emotional reasons affect us in two ways, both down and up. That means, A, I may be afraid of the consequence of one direction of a decision, and therefore I can't actually get my mind to make a decision because I'm aware that the outcome may be so, trigger something which is so fearful that I can't allow myself to make the decision. I may have an issue with decision making in general, an emotional block, meaning I've made decisions, it's blown up, and I'm afraid to make a decision, right? And I want to push it off or delay it. Or I actually made, in this particular decision I make, I have some fear, or I have some kind of lust or ego that I want to make the decision, but I'm going to make it in the wrong direction because I'm biased towards ego. So that's the down problem, that there's an emotional block to making the decision, number one. Number two is sometimes, and this is a deeper idea, it's more Kabbalistic, it needs a lot more explanation, but I think you're all smart enough and we can talk about it briefly, and it's enough just to get the insight of the direction it needs to go in. Sometimes there's a thing called Das Elyon in our consciousness. Sometimes you're given a decision, and for all intents and purposes, it's equal, right? I could go this way. The cost benefits analysis is I could go this way. There's things that benefit and lose, and this way is benefit and lose, but I don't know which one to choose. and I don't know which one to choose. And how do I know which one to choose? And why is everyone else able to choose and I'm not able to choose? Now, sometimes that's fear of a consequence, fear of a loss. Sometimes it's ego, right? But sometimes when I take all my emotion out of the way, I'm not able to listen into my intuition, which advises me, yes, they're both equal, but I sense this is the future. I sense this could be better. Right? Sometimes some decisions are just made intellectually, the cost benefits analysis, this is better. That's not the one kind of situation that most people have problems with, right? If the cost benefits analysis is clear and A is better than B, but emotionally I'm afraid of A, so then I have to work through my emotions. But sometimes they're relatively equal and I need something deeper to help me crash the quantum wave and choose A over B. And to do that, where's my deeper calling? Where's my intuition that this is my soulmate and I should marry? This is not the right one and I should step away. When you use this technique, it can do two things. It can knock you out of emotional traps and help you engage in the possibility of one versus the other. You can create a Machshava map for both scenarios and see how joyful or connected you feel. That's number one. Two, you can create a Machshava map going through some elements of both and start to see what ideas open up. But what you can also do is create a Machshava map, a mind map, as we learned them. And you can try and tap into the source of self-awareness, which is higher than both decisions, to see from that inner knowledge, that inner awareness, that deeper sense, the inner guidance, the guardian angel, the Das Elyon, the higher soul, these are all code words for each other, which way it wants me to go. And you can actually learn to ask it directly and get an answer from that. The Baal Shem Tov has a technique called Ruach HaKodesh Ma'at, where he teaches to go into a deeper state of divine awareness and ask a question, receive an answer. And there's a way to use this technique as well, which is focusing on divine things to open up to that state so we can ask a question and be able to receive an answer. So that's a little introduction to how the applications could work. I'm not sure if that's interesting to you all, but that's just putting it out there on the table.
Wonderful. I saw another question. How does this technique work when you're trying to concentrate on something someone is telling you? Does this work for that type of scenario?
That's a super important question. The short answer is no. There's other techniques I teach people, but here's the longer answer. The following of what someone's trying to tell you there's a plus and minus involved with that. And let's map that out very, very briefly. The ability to increase attention is one element, but the ability to decrease distraction is another. For example, if you ever used a radio back in the day, right? One is you have to tune the channel. When you tune the channel, you take out other channels, you take out distractions. And another thing is to turn up the volume. Once I'm tuned in, now I want to turn up the volume, right? Fine. So vis-a-vis using this technique to listen to what someone's saying, it's harder to do. But there's two things you can use this technique for. And this is what you can do. First of all, when you go to listen to someone, and I teach with married couples when I do work with them, I teach them to go around with compassion, 5 different moments in their life when they experienced tremendous compassion, and then 5 moments when they had tremendous love towards their partner. When they do that for 5 to 10 minutes each, and then they turn towards their partner who they're having a dispute with, and that both partners are doing the same time, rather than looking at their partner through anger, through hurts, they look at their partner through love and through compassion. So the state of consciousness you're in when you're listening to someone absolutely allows you to receive more, understand more, and pay attention more. So the two elements of that is, is taking out any thoughts which are not about being present with that person, not about concentrating what they're saying. If I have this appointment in 2 hours, if I'm stressed about something that happened this morning, first of all, I can do a map, a circle map on just calmness, on just present, 5 moments when I felt calm. That makes me calm and joyful and happy to be here. I'm already going to focus better, number one. Number two is I can do one on compassion towards that person, or I could do one on the general subject at hand. You know, I have to meet with a therapist about my child's issue, right? But I'm thinking about the business deal that collapsed this morning. So if I stop, and I do machshava on my child's issue, right? And I really, really start thinking about engaging in it. And then when the therapist talks about it, then I'm totally absorbed because now I'm really in there. So it's all about understanding das. This is what's called in Chassidus being a Baal Das, a master of consciousness. All of Chassidus is about the subject. How do I understand where my consciousness is at any moment, if it's a state of gadlus, katnus, expansiveness, connectedness, or disconnected, and fallen into fear or doubt or pain or distraction or lust or ego, etc. And how do I be consistently consciously aware of where I am? And how do I have the tools to attune my mind and its full powers of consciousness, the koiches and nefesh, the powers of soul, of consciousness, to fully align with whatever I'm doing in the moment? That's all of Chassidus is about, that rule. And I hope if you take what I said, that if you follow those rules and find ways to apply them, it really does rapidly and massively increase your capacity to concentrate, even without focusing on the words. It just changes the state to make you open to the focusing on what they're saying.
Wow. Okay. I think I wanted to end, I know we're very, very over time. We're 45 minutes over time. Thank you to the 136 people or so who have stayed on. I do want to take one more question. I see Devorah Stiegel has been sitting there patiently with her computer hand. So Devorah, will take your question, and then Rabbi Katz, I think we'll say thank you and good evening.
Sure.
All right,
Devorah,
can you unmute yourself?
Hi, can you hear me?
we can now.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, Devorah.
Hi. So I want to ask about ruminating, which to me, I think is the opposite of holy imagination. Like we have this force of imagination that can either be the holy kind or the kind that really harms us. Like for me, it's ruminating negatively.
Sure.
And I know I'm doing it. I can catch myself when I'm doing it, but I don't seem to be able to turn it on its side and turn it into holy imagination instead, to take its place. How do you do that?
So Devorah, this is the exact technique. What's destructive thoughts, destructive thinking patterns? So what they are is the power of imagination, the dimyon, that is being controlled by what's called the clippers of the biddus, which means the destructive emotions. Yeah. Our imagination is always running. The question is, am I piloting the ship or is it being hijacked? So when I consciously use my imagination, that means I'm saying, let's think of 15 wonderful, beautiful things about this. I'm saying, let's think about the potential of the moment. Let's think about 5 acts of kindness I can do the next week. And then my imagination goes and seeks and gathers and builds beautiful, meaningful things. I'm thinking about my startup and all the projects I'm going to run within the startup to make, $10 million in the first year. And it's going after my focus. It's willful, it's mindful, right? And that's exactly what this technique is teaching us how to do. If we don't do that, then our heart, and when I say heart, I don't mean the expansive part of our heart. I mean the fear, doubt, lust, ego, pain, the animal nature of the heart. It hijacks the imagination and shows me lustful thoughts. I'm angry at my ex-girlfriend. I'm vengeful about this. I'm watching that same movie scene go around my head. I'm going through the trauma of my childhood. I'm just going about how everyone's going to reject me and always rejects me. So the way to stop that is not what we think, which is to stop using my imagination. Because then, you can't stop desire for sexuality by blocking sex, desire for money by blocking money, desire for all these things, right? What we have to do is the path of Torah, the path of elevation. How do I use that very same desire, but channel it in a positive, constructive, holy, integrated, elevated way? So Devorah, here is your homework. If I may give some to you, it's as simple as this, right? Okay. 2 or 3 times a day for 5 minutes, especially when this is problematic for you. Or even before, especially in the morning, is get your true pilot, your das, your consciousness, your soul, your deeper awareness, put that back in the pilot seat and take your imagination for a 5-minute, 10-minute spin with positive, holy, beautiful, meaningful, imaginative experiences, right? When you do that, and every time you do that, you weaken the power of the dark side to control and hijack the imagination. And every time it says, now think of something negative, you do another 1 minute, another 2 minutes, and you keep doing that. And you learn to get to that the animal soul of the imagination, it becomes subservient and it becomes more aligned with your divine soul intent and will. So if you practice that once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day, and especially when it's hard for you, right? You train it, you condition it, you elevate it, and it more and more will release its hold, release its bending towards the dark side, and it will return to wanting to use its imagination for beautiful things, for holy things, for meaningful things, etc. Try it like daily exercise, and exercise routine. Recondition, retrain, reprogram your mind that the imaginative power should go after your soul and not after your ego.
So are you saying to initiate that at a time when I'm not trying to replace it, just to initiate it on its own?
2 things, yes, 2 things. Initiate it at an easy time. When you wake up in the morning, you have 10 minutes to meditate, your head is clear, you haven't started the day. Do easy times for easy wins, right?
Excellent.
And if there's times when you're out of control in negative thinking patterns, one of the things I teach my students is make a map, a circle of joy. Make a map, a circle of self-love, that you always have those memories, those 5 memories. Keep that in your pocket. And when you find your mind going into negative places, pull out the paper, start cycling around, and condition and train your mind to spiral into cycles of joy rather than cycles of pain. You've got that, Devora? I think
Fantastic.
You can do it.
Thank you so much.
And you're going to let us know in Partners in Torah. You'll let us know how it goes. We're all excited to hear from you.
I will. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Okay, Rabbi Katz, before we wrap up just really quickly, I have a few people here asking, how do I get in touch with Rabbi Katz? How do I, does he do counseling? Does he do coaching? So for anybody who does have questions, I guess we'll discuss offline, but you'll be able to give us a way to formulate questions and send them to you?
Sure. Well, we have a website called elevationproject.com. You can send us anything non-Partners in Torah related. You can send messages through there. They go through our team. If there's something I need to see, they share it with me. And I hope that's enough to get people going. But the online program is where that's happening, besides the awesome program we're all here to work on together in Partners in Torah.
Wonderful. Okay, Rabbi Katz, thank you so much. And thank you everybody for sticking with us through the technical difficulties. It was well worth the wait.
Thank you for the wonderful opportunity and the incredible work you're doing on Partners in Torah. You should tell your friends. We should get the learning happening more and more around the world. There's so much beautiful Torah like this to learn, and I hope you'll share with everyone you know. Over and out.